Hi, welcome to the second Q&A vlog. So this time, we're going to talk about Dante's Inferno, Dante Alighieri's Inferno. So Inferno is the first part of the Divine Comedy. So the basic plot of the Divine Comedy is about a man, generally assumed as Dante himself, who goes on a journey from hell to purgatory and then paradise. So Dante has two guides. So in Inferno and Purgatorio, so the three parts actually are named in Italian. Inferno, Purgatorio, and then Paradiso. So that's hell, purgatory, and then paradise or heaven. So his guides are the following. So in Inferno and Purgatorio, he's guided by Virgil, the poet Virgil, and then in Paradiso, he is guided by Beatrice, his lifelong love, and the love of his life, Beatrice. So kani si Beatrice actually mo ni murag guiding light gud ni muse gud ni siya ni Koan ni Dante Alighieri. It is believed that he met her when he was 9 and she was 8, but wala sila nagkadayon. They married different people, but then kanang in all his works najay touch ni Beatrice, no? Even ang iyahang katong autobiographical nga poem kay naghisgot kapon siya ni Beatrice niya kanisad. So kanan si Beatrice ang iyang nakuyog sa paradise. So murag angel gyud para niya si Beatrice. Murag ana bitaw taas gyud iyang esteem ni Beatrice. So kay feeling sa asawa ni ni Dante nga dili man siya ang kuyog ni Dante sa kuan sa iyahang journey to salvation. Si Beatrice man hinuon. Pero anyway, as I have discussed in Romeo and Juliet, Italian society at that time, kan lahi. So people married not for love but for kanang social and political reasons, even economic reasons, na siya. So the setting of Divine Comedy is it starts on Good Friday. So they descend to hell on Good Friday, and then nabalik siya sa kalibutan on Easter Sunday. And so journey gid siya. Timing kayo no kay siya Holy Week. So it's man's journey. So mo na iyang kuan. So it is believed nga Dante wrote this when he was exiled. So I think according to Britannica.com, he must have started it around 1308. So he was exiled 1302. Okay, but kuan kana. So mo na siyang kanang ang story aning Divine Comedy kay early 1300s. So shortly before he was exiled. So but mo na siya ang sugod. But he wrote this when he was already exiled. So this is his greatest work. So unsa man ang role sa exile sa Divine Comedy? The exile of the individual, Dante's exile, becomes the microcosm of the problems of a country. It becomes the example ba, the microcosm of it is kanang it's also showing the problems of a country, and it becomes a representative of the fall of humankind. And so ang story, ang Divine Comedy is not only historically specific but also paradigmatic kay gusto man ni Dante nga na change sa ilang society. So why was he exiled? Because simply put, he was on the wrong side of politics at that time. So nakontra man siya sa Pope. Yeah. Ang mga supporters sa Pope were called black. Yeah, naman siya sa white. So against man siya sa Pope. So atong mga tao, if you've already read the summary, itong mga tao nga kontra ni Dante nakatanan sa different circles of hell. So kanang I think that's the funny part, no? Mansa na siya nakanindot kung writer ka, naglagot ka, then write something about them. O di ba? Makabawas pa sila nimo. If they ganan silang bawas, then they need to write something as good or maybe better than what you've written. Okay, so for this part, kanang starting with Divine Comedy, I think I will just choose 3 questions kay task kaayo. So mo na akong problem sa Romeo and Juliet nga video. So I want it to be under 20 minutes lang kay anyway the other questions naman sad will be already covered in the discussion, so para dili magbalik-balik ang answers ba. So the first questions, we have 3 questions today. So the first question is from Mary Rose Balungoy. So why is Inferno a divine comedy, or why is it called divine comedy? It's not a comedy, di ba? Hindi siya katawanan, the way we know what comedy is. So in Romeo and Juliet, we discussed nga there are 2 types of drama, diba? 2 types of contexts, comedy and tragedy. So kato na siya downfall of the tragic hero, niya na unhappy ending ang tragedy. So divine comedy is not a tragedy. That's why it's a comedy, but it's not funny or kanang slapstick. No, it is comedy in the sense nga tragedy is absent. Okay, in fact kanang naka-ascend sa heaven si Dante, di ba? Naka-journey siya from hell to heaven. So it's not tragic, di ba? Then he realized something about life. He's able to learn something from all those people na iyahang na-meet, nabitaw niya, na purged ang iyang soul. Na in fact, in Paradiso, nabuta siya sa iyahang, when he was asked what is hope, nag-quiz siya sa mga saints, sa mga important people in history. Ito nawa niya na kaya nabuta siya. So then ato iklaro, it is a comedy in the sense that kanang the characteristics of a tragedy is absent. Then comedy in this light becomes the adversary of tragedy. So wala man siya tragic ending, so it is a comedy. And it is a divine comedy because it's about the journey of a soul, diba? The journey of a person from hell, purgatory, and heaven. And there are a lot of Christian references and even mythological references, nga religious but mythological, nga included or mentioned in the epic poem. And it is an allegory because kuan man siya kanang na-compare man siya, naman siya mga references, gihimo man siya as a big metaphor of what the Florence or the Florentian or the Italian society was at that time. So kanang another reason why it's called a divine comedy is or a comedy specifically, ari kita sa word na comedy nga naman, because it has accomplished what it set out to do in terms of giving meaning to the religious pilgrim, wondering how to account for the lost nature of mankind. So yes, we'll take the word pilgrim. So yes, si Dante traveling from hell to purgatory and paradise is actually a pilgrim. Yeah, kanang is trying to kanang discover himself, kanang seeking salvation, ano bitaw. So it's a religious pilgrimage. And so because na-accomplish man na go through man jud tanan ni Dante, then it's not tragic. It is comedic in that sense. And also there are 2 basic requirements for a comedy. Number 1 is a happy ending. So again, di ba na-mention na siya. So throughout the works of literature, it is the basic definition of a comedy if there's a happy ending. So it doesn't need to be really funny, di ba? But it should have a happy ending. So the tone of the writing is also low rather than high style. So kanang although we may get intimidated kanang tungod kay tawgon siya divine comedy, title pa lang daan divine comedy. Murag tanaw na to kanang murag kanang highfalutin or lisod kayo, inaccessible ang divine comedy, but kanang it is actually rather written in a very accessible way. Pero lang yun kanang lisod lang masabtan tingali ang ubang translations kay man kanang academic tingay kayo or poetic ra kayo. But then kanang Dante was very original, and then he was writing a poem about the salvation of mankind, but doing it in an everyday language. So the language that he was using in writing it, the type of Italian language that he was using was the everyday Italian language at that time. Okay, so it's a comedy. Kay dili man siya kayo kanang dili kaayo kanang complicated ang iyang structures. Okay, so that's why it's called a divine comedy. Next is the second question from Laide Laimal Chavez. So she asked, divine comedy is composed of 3 parts: Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. And so why is it that the 2 remaining sections don't have the same recognition as much as Inferno received. Actually, I've read several sources, and then ana gid sila tanan nga kanang all the three parts are equally good. Nya dili gid ka kaingon nga Inferno is the best part. Kanang in fact, there was one in Quora nga mingon gid siya nga he prefers kanang purgatorio niya. Ano lang yun daw kanang mas ano siya ba mas lingaw basahon ang Inferno because of the things that you will be able to see. Daghan kay mga characters, di ba kanang ano siya ba? In his words, novelistic ana kan siya kanang more siya novel ana, but then ang ano man gud ang purgatorio, ang tone ba sa purgatorio sa paradiso is more intellectual na, especially sa paradiso nga makita nimo nga gi-quiz na siya, ano na siya, gipangutanan na siya sa mga saints o sa ubang mga tao dito nga kanang about hope, about life, mga inana. So daghan ka na siya, intellectual na siya kayog approach, whereas sa sa Inferno gid siya nag-travel gid siya sa different circles of one, so kanang mas lingaw siya basahon. Okay, and another reason also is kanang because most teachers, I must say, most teachers kanang would assign only Inferno, and siguro mao na siya nga mas nisikat siya kaysa high school, mao man gud yun na siya, di ba? Even ako, I'm guilty of that. I'm only letting you focus on Inferno, but then I'm also encouraging you to read the other parts aron makita gid ninyo ang unsa na ang entire thing ana. So aside from that, kanang of the three parts, Inferno is intensely dramatic, and it's also ghastly. Yung mga ghoulish species na mga gipang mention ng mga characters, unsa sila pag-punish sa hell. So mo na then kanang murag mas mo gutay, it's kanang mas ma-attracted ta sa bitaw nga mga butang, di ba, mas ganahan ta mo basa na ba. So also kanang it's more emotive because of these symbols, mga tao yun sa sila pag-punish katong gikaon ni Lucifer, he was chewing on the heads of Judas and Brutus, bitaw. So it's more emotive and descriptive nya gito ang tong kanang sa Quora. I'm actually attaching the the links in the description box. So ingon siya nga kanang in short why do most people prefer Inferno over the two others? Because in short, we'd rather end up in heaven, but our minds are easily seduced by hell. So kaya ganun exciting man siya basahon, then sa heaven kaya ganun mga quiz na unya. Kasi siya lain-lain kanang stages ang heaven, but then murag mas exciting basahon jud ang Inferno. And concept siya murag for me lang kanang nindot sad nga magsugod kag basa sa Inferno kay para makonsensya ka ba, di ka ganahan ma-impierno. Okay, but that's just my idea. Okay, so let's go to the second question. This one is from Judil May Caseno. So in Dante's Inferno, how are classical and Christian literary techniques used together? So I will not specify the techniques, but rather I will talk about the literary tradition. Okay, kay mas generic tarita sa generic na kay para mas makita ninyo ang picture, ang bigger picture. So what are the literary traditions nga makita nato sa Inferno? So in fact, the reason why Dante started with Inferno because the poem's spiritual pattern is not classical but Christian. Okay, so Christian man siya nga kay di ba nag-start siya Good Friday, and then na Easter Sunday nga niadto na si Jesus sa heaven. So kanang Christian siya nga pattern. So that's why he started with Inferno. Then another thing is that Dante actually was ambitious. He wanted to be at par with the classical predecessors like Homer, who wrote Odyssey, and Virgil, who wrote Aeneid. Mabot na si Virgil ang iyang guide, diba? So the voice of reason. But although gi-follow niya ang classical conventions nga ang hero or ang protagonist kay moadto sa land of the dead, kay sa Odyssey namsad ko yung mga nato si book 7 sa Odyssey, nga sa Aeneid book 6 siya, while adopting that convention, Dante transforms the practice by beginning his journey with the visit to the land of the dead. So kana palang daan, Christian na siya nga Christian na siya nga literary tradition. Okay? Then Dante's journey to hell represents the spiritual act of dying to the world. And hence it coincides with the season of Christ's own death. So matawag ninyo nga it starts on Good Friday. So very Christian. Now, what are the classical literary traditions and mythological traditions nga found in Dante's work in Divine Comedy? So first, Dante's Christian hell features a large variety of mythological and ancient literary creatures ranging from centaurs to Minos to Ulysses. So daghan kaayo actually when you read even just the summary, daghan kay kag makuha na pay river Styx, na pay river Acheron, inana bitaw so kanang kain ka ba nga wow parang unsa ni siya Greek mythology or Divine Comedy ana. So he used those symbolisms iyang gi-incorporate. So in addition, Dante often refers to and imitates the styles of great classical writers. So of course he's influenced by these writers like Homer, Ovid, Lucan, and Virgil himself. So idol jud niya sila, especially Virgil, di ba kay guide niya. So he tried to copy the writing styles of these people. Then he attempts also, by doing so, he attempts to put himself within the tradition of classical epics. So mo ta akong gingon ninyo at the beginning na ni copy siya sa classical tradition in the sense nga the protagonist goes to the land of the dead, but iyang gi-change ang order because of Christian tradition. So classical siya but with a Christian twist. Okay? So by doing so, he wants to be he wants to be at the same level with these classical writers of the ancient time. So he wants to prove that he's a greater writer than any of the classical poets. So he's quite ambitious in that sense. Okay, so he also incorporates these ancient materials for several reasons. So number one, mythological elements contain dramatic potential. Bitaw kay ma-associate naman if you're familiar with Greek mythology and then mabasahan nimong divine comedy, daghan na kay kag ma-imagine pud ba nan ma-relate pud nimo siya sa how those kanang symbols and elements are used in the Greek version ana. Then he also used these to indicate that Christianity had subsumed these famous stories. Yes. And by bringing many religious strands under one umbrella, so di ba na Christianity, na classical, na mythological, Dante heightens the urgency and the importance of his quest. So that, he believes is necessary for all human beings. So he believes nga all of us should go through kanang that kind of purging bitaw. We go through hell, we go through purgatory, and then eventually we experience paradise, salvation, happiness, love, di ba? Mao bitaw na nga ang ending yun is na kuyog niya si Beatrice, who is the love of his life. But then agi sa siya hell, di ba? Kay man is lost man daw and he has to find himself. So he has to go through all those things. Ano siya? Okay. So those are the 3 questions for vlog number 2, Dante's Inferno. Alright. Thank you so much and see you in the next vlog.